All right, well, thanks for joining us today. Today, I have the privilege of talking to this young man.
Great. Well, Derek, thanks for having me on. My name is Ben Weber, and it's a privilege to be on the podcast today and share a little bit about who I am and where I'm at and what I am doing.
I love it.
So
let's hear a little bit about your backstory.
So I am a candidate, Derek, to be our next state representative here in the 86th House District, which covers all of Union County, Marysville, and a portion of Marion County. And it's a privilege to run for this office, and I'd love to share a little bit more about my background, why I'm running, who I am, and why we have such a great community, and why I stepped into this race.
I like it. So professionally, you're an attorney, correct?
That is correct. I have the privilege to serve small business clients throughout our area, Union County, Licking County, Franklin, Delaware, Madison, really all throughout Central Ohio, an area that I'm privileged to have been raised and born here in Central Ohio. I've lived here my entire life, went to Ohio State. I'm a proud Buckeye. Put myself through night school and law school at Capital University in Columbus. We have a great broader region, but specifically Union County is a really special place, and it's a privilege to be here. Been here for around the past decade. As you've seen, we've seen some growth. We've seen a variety of different things going on in our community, but we're here today to talk about the good stuff that's going on in our community, which is why I got in this race, to represent those good things.
Right, and protect it, right?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, lots of good stuff, as the good stuff sign indicates. And as you said, got lots of the good stuff going on. So let's start. What's your first favorite good thing going on here in Union County?
So, in my opinion, maybe this is a hot take. Maybe it's not. I don't think it is. But Union County is a place that you can really have it all. I don't know if there's folks in the community that say that, but yes, I've lived here for around the past decade or so, and even convinced my fiance, who I met and I'm getting married to very soon in about a month, who is from, thank you, she's from Sidney, Ohio, which is Shelby County, which is
good area,
about an hour west of Marysville. And so we were absolutely looking forward to being here together, investing in our community, investing our lives here in this really fantastic place. But Union County is a place where you can have it all. And what I mean by that is it's a prosperous environment where it's one of the best places to live, work, raise a family, and run a business. And I mean that. Whether you want to work for a publicly traded company with global reach, and there's a couple of those in our area, or run a small business. And I'm an attorney. I represent small businesses every day. You can do that. You want to send your kids to good schools? We have options for those. Is everything in our community perfect? No. That's why I'm running for office. But we have fantastic opportunities, good entertainment, restaurants. If you want property, if you want a house with 20 acres and a good tree line, you can have that. If you want to live in a nice subdivision, you can have that too. So we have a community where I think you can have just about it all here in Union County. And I'm running to promote that, protect those values, and keep it that way. So,
yep, I've always said it's the best of both worlds. I can go 9 miles north, be in my backyard around nobody, or I can go however many miles it is down to Columbus and Dublin and all kinds of things and find all kinds of stuff. I say pretty much, other than the beach and the mountains, we've got it all.
Pretty much.
And I'm okay going there for vacation. I don't need it in the backyard. But yeah, no, we definitely. I was speaking this earlier on my live update that I did a few hours ago, and a lot of after high school, I saw a lot of kids leave, and just this is a little small town, but a lot of good things going on here. So,
all right.
So anything else from your background you'd like to address? Any experiences that would be helpful for the
absolutely
folks to
So
know?
I mentioned earlier, so I am running for public office here in our community. So it's great to be on the show and have folks get to know who I am and why I'm doing this and what my background is. So I mentioned I'm a small business attorney, represent some great small businesses and organizations, helping them navigate complex government regulations, structures, all kinds of issues.
I thought all those were easy.
Well, unfortunately, they're not. And it's not like a small business wants to have to retain counsel to deal with problems.
Yep.
But maybe we can make some laws a little bit better down at the Statehouse and even make this an even better environment for businesses to grow and succeed here in our area. I think that would be great. Part of the platform that I'm running on. Uh, that's my occupation, but I will say it's been just a privilege over the past several years to get involved in the community, work for some really good organizations, ranging from Fortune 200 publicly traded manufacturing company, particularly Nucor Steel, which is up in they have a steel mill, rebar steel mill in Marion County with global reach, and also working for to support our people in this area. One example is working to support adults and individuals in Ohio with disabilities, helping them get jobs and gain independence in their
Hmm.
life and be really uh, proud of their occupation and their upskilling to get there and all that. So, uh, we have not only great organizations, great institutions, large, medium, small businesses, other educational and hospital institutions here. We have really great people that inspire me every day to get up, campaign, fight for their small businesses as an attorney here in the community. So,
Amen to that. So how long have you been on the trail, so to speak?
yep. So I made an official announcement right before the 4th of July that I'm running for state representative. And I'll give a little bit of context on that too, so that listeners know a little bit more about that seat, what that means, and who's currently there
Hmm.
and what the status of that is. But right before the 4th of July. So we've been on the trail officially for about a month, and I've seen some really great things. And
Like what?
well, I've met some great people. And so I'll just say this. For example, I made my announcement, I think it was July 2nd, and immediately we were marched in the Marysville 4th of July
Yep.
parade, which was hot, but that's how you like it in July. On July 4th, it was sunny. I'll take that over a rainy parade pretty much any
Oh
day of the
yeah.
week.
Oh yeah.
And now just great conversations with members of the community all the way around. And I've been at the Union County Fair all week, and we've been blessed. It hasn't rained, which I know our farmers need a little bit of rain, but when it's fair week, at least in my opinion, it's good to not have too much rain.
No, I
And
can remember lots of fair weeks in my youth that were muddy. So yeah.
yeah, and so we've been lucky. It's been warm, but it's been just a privilege to be there and interact with members of our community. We have a lot of 4-H students with their projects there, and I think we have a auction on Saturday morning for some of the animals with that. So that'll be great to see that and see the fruits of some of our great 4-H students and their labor and taking
Well,
care of their animals 24/7 at the fair. If you didn't know, they're there watching their animals.
a lot of them sleep there.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
campers and RVs. Yeah, and the livestock auction is a great example of the community coming together to support the youth. They, the businesses and all kinds of folks come out to support those kids, and they, so to speak, reward them for their efforts and doing all of those things. So it's really nice. I mean, I was a product of that. The businesses over the years that would buy my animals and support those efforts, and
yeah,
that means a lot. And
absolutely.
it shows the support that the businesses and organizations in town have for the kids doing the right things. So
Absolutely.
some of the right things. So those are great. Yeah, fair's a good one. It's almost over. It seems like summer is almost over as well. But
It flies right by,
yeah,
unfortunately. So,
life
uh,
does. So what else? What's coming up soon, or what kind of big milestones do you have
yeah,
in a campaign as a candidate?
yeah. Well, I have to put a plug in. Part of being a candidate is getting out in the community, meeting everybody you can have a conversation with, having a similar conversation as we are today on the show, and who I am and why I'm running to be a conservative champion for our community. I think that's what we need down at the State House is leadership driven by conservative principles, leadership with experience.
Hmm.
And we can talk a little bit about that and what my experience is in more detail if you'd like. But those conservative principles are just the bedrock of my campaign. So having those conversations are great. Community events are a lot of fun. We get to have those there too. So I had to put a plug in. We have an upcoming Uptown Friday nights, for example, Margaritaville.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll see you there. I'll be there having a great time with our community. And we've had a couple good Uptowns already with Kickin' Country concert with Chase Wright perform. That was a lot of fun. And the wine night was before that. And that was a lot of fun too. I'm not as much of a wine drinker, but my fiance does, so that was
Still
fun.
good stuff.
Yep.
And I think we got a few threats of rain that came through. What was that? The first one, I think, had some rain towards the end. But knock on wood, we get another dry one, and maybe not so hot and humid. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, those are good. I really love being up there. Take the camera equipment up there, like I said earlier, to do the sensory friendly streaming there. But yeah, I've always thought it'd be interesting to live the life of somebody on the campaign trail and just
Yeah.
trying to keep up with a normal life and do all the extra stuff. And I assume that's
Absolutely.
been an experience.
It is, yeah, and on top of that, like I said, I have a beautiful fiance, Emily, who I've just blessed to have gotten a chance to meet, and we're getting married in a month, and so we are wedding planning as well, and looking
Hmm.
forward to that, and we have most of our T's crossed, I's dotted, and we're ready to go for that. But it's been a great time as well.
Where are you getting
So
married?
we are getting married in a Catholic church in Columbus, in a reception hall in Westerville, and we're looking forward to it. So,
Very cool.
yep.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very
It's
much.
quite the journey to go down that path.
I'm here for any suggestions you have. So, and your listeners
Uh,
may have too.
well, listen and listen.
That's good.
It's the
I'll have
best
to write
advice
that
I
one
give.
down.
All right. So, what can we address on the state level? What's going on there?
Yeah. So I'll say that we have a great community here, like I said, but things are not perfect. They never are, and that's okay. And so running to be a leader to address some of the most pressing issues in our community. When I go out, uptowns, the fair, other events, we were at the Miami Valley Steam Threshers parade and show a couple weeks ago, and
Mm-hmm.
we were out in the community, Emily and I. Really, the number one issue that we hear about is property tax. And that dovetails into costs and affordability, just generally on different things, taxes. But property tax seems to be a reoccurring issue that undoubtedly the legislature has to address. And they're working on it right now. I'm also running a campaign. I don't serve there. I don't have a vote right now in the Ohio House of Representatives. But I can tell you this, my position is that we need relief as taxpayers. Uh, I mentioned I'm getting married in about a month. Emily and I are looking to buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
but it's expensive. It's expensive for young people to come, she's from Sydney, I'm from this area, get together, try to buy a house in our community is tough. It's tough on the price side. It's also tough on the tax side, which is your monthly mortgage payment. And you look at, wow, that's really expensive. That's basically not affordable. And so, unquestionably, we have to do something about it. And what I mean by something is relief for taxpayers. And there's different ideas out there that we can talk about and related to that. But I see it in my own journey right now. And as a younger person trying to buy a house, it's here. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just haven't heard what's the solution, because it's one thing to address the
yeah,
problem, the challenge, and
yeah,
so far I've yet to hear the. I've heard odd statements of, the philosophy and principle that once you own your house outright, you shouldn't have to pay anymore. If my house catches fire, I'm happy to pay property taxes if the fire department shows up. So far, I haven't really heard a solution that we
Yeah.
cut those taxes. How we're going to fund other things.
Mhm.
So it's one thing to say let's cut it. It's another thing to say let's do away with services. So that's the
Mhm.
part that I haven't heard
Yeah. Well, and you're
a resolution
asking,
for.
you are asking, I would say, $1 billion question. Maybe, maybe more, maybe less. I mean, property taxes are a major source of revenue in Ohio. And what I'd say is what we need to do is, for better or worse, we have a lot of ideas on it. There was a press conference this morning, the day they were taping the show, with the County Auditors Association. They had
Yep, I missed that.
county auditors from around the state here that were hosted by our very good auditor, Andrea Weaver, hosted their association.
I didn't realize it was that wide. I just thought it was here locally, but it was
No, it was auditors,
Ah.
from Montgomery County,
Even more
Franklin
impressive.
County, I think Logan County for sure. So some regional, but some, in Delaware County across the state as well. So, and they had some proposals, and I have seen other proposals as well at the State House. Again, I don't serve there right now. I don't have a vote on those proposals. So there's a lot of ideas out there. And I go back to it, though, to not overcomplicate the matter, which sometimes it seems like it is. We have these formulas that, just to figure out how much you pay, how it's going to change when your value goes up, and why it's, who gets the money is just this very convoluted, complicated system.
Oh yeah.
What I would say is what I don't understand too, and I'm curious what your thoughts on this is. If you take a step back, how did we get here? How did we get
Oh, yeah.
to this scenario? On one side of the ledger, rising asset values, rising property values, rising home values that have triggered rising property tax values. So the question that I am asking you, our community leaders, others, is how do we fund our necessary services? How do we fund our police? I fully support the police. How do we fund our fire? I fully support our fire. How do we fund our school options? Fully support our schools. With the right amount of revenue, without any waste, without any fraud, without any abuse, and to just deal with this issue of you've had property values that have gone up tremendously. That's great if you want to sell tomorrow. But like the majority of people that live in Marysville or Union County, you're not selling tomorrow.
Nope.
So you're being hit by this high tax spike because of that high value increase. How do we right size this to say, yeah, we've had some inflation. Okay, the various government entities probably have to deal with inflation too. It's kind of a federal issue in terms of inflation that I'm frustrated about, but they have to deal with that. But what about this extra? Like your property's gone up 35, 45%.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sell tomorrow? That's great. But I take it that you don't because you're invested in our community. What about that big increase? That part I'm working on, and how do we right size this while funding our necessary institutions?
Yep. Again, it's another $1 billion question, if not more. It's a very complicated thing. To me, it gets into all kinds of avenues that vastly complicate the situation. And yeah, for me, it boils down to: do we want the services? How do we pay for them?
Mm-hmm.
That's really all it comes down to. Do we want fire protection? Then we got to pay for it. And if we don't pay for it through property taxes, do we pay through a different mechanism? If we don't pay for it, who pays for it? You can boil it down just as simply as that, in my opinion. And so it's challenging to have these conversations a lot of times because they're so convoluted, and those simple factors easily can flutter out into, well, all of these other scenarios. So yeah, it's a very convoluted thing. I've always said it'd be interesting to be smart enough to understand the full breadth of the tax code and all of these factors, because
you'd have to be a genius.
Maybe AI will figure it out.
Maybe,
and straighten it out. But anyway, a very, very complicated thing. And yeah, to me, it boils down to, especially in growing communities like Marysville and Plain City and Ostrander even, and all of these communities, going back to what I've referenced a few times today so far, the visioning process or project that the city's working on to help guide us in the future. And I think, what was the term that they used? Find the right page here. Design framework for growth. And, so that's the tangible side of things. But I think we've also got and I've been asking this question for a long time, who are we here in Marysville? Like, who do we want to be as a community? What do we want to stand for? What principles? How do we want to grow? What do we want to value and not value? So we need to answer some of those questions to be able to answer and kind of delineate between where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's a complicated thing because, again, most of us want the fire department to show up if we don't pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and most of us want a great community and lower taxes. So how do we get there? And it's not an impossible feat. The legislature has multiple proposals on it. Like I said, the county auditors from around the state were here this morning. They have proposals on it. So how do we get there? How do we lower taxes? How do we promote and protect our community in the process?
I'm going to write a note here that in another year or two, you're going to come back and tell us.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah. And yeah, there's so many factors I could go into. I heard this stat a while ago, and I think it's still true. I've referenced it quite a few times. To build a house, last I heard, how many dollars of building a house goes towards regulation and fees?
Oh, probably $100,000.
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago I first started. It was 92. So
92, maybe 100 now.
So before labor, before materials, before anything actually gets done. And so there's a lot of factors like that go into, as a real estate agent, people talk about affordability. For me, a lot of it comes down to, we don't want affordable houses anymore. We want nicer houses than affordable. And so there's some issues there. And then you take in regulation fees. And if we want a safe house, we got to pay for a safe house. And so a lot of times we can't have our cake and eat it too, in my opinion, of, got to sacrifice somewhere.
Right. Well, and the campaign that I'm running is to get government out of the way where you can And some of this, like you're right, like why does it cost $100,000 before you even put a shovel in the ground? I don't know, and that just seems a little bit ludicrous to me. I'm trying to buy a house with my soon-to-be wife. There's a lot of other folks in that, area of
Mm-hmm.
their life, and so uh, if we can cut regulations and cut some of this unnecessary bureaucracy where we can, I think that's a good idea.
That would help. But on another note that I find interesting, if you look at growth maps across the counties across the country, the last one I saw, we were blue, which signified high growth.
Hmm.
Well, you can't expect affordable housing in a high demand market, So there's some of those things that don't jive either, and you're
Hmm.
fighting nature to an extent. So anyway, but either way, lots of good things going on that can address those things, and that's the first step is identifying the problem and moving forward. And we are definitely not going to solve that here. I am not, but you might have a potential in the future. So
I hope too.
that's the goal. What about the federal level? That was some state or any other state regarding.
Yeah, so the General Assembly, the Ohio House, which I'm seeking to run for to be our next state representative, to have a seat in the Ohio House, and our state Senate, who make up the Ohio General Assembly, just passed their 2-year operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
I know on your last show, or one of your most recent shows, you had a little bit of conversation about that, and a couple good things, several good things that came out of that were not vetoed, was an income tax cut. So the Ohio personal income tax rate will soon be phased in and phased down to 2.75% of your income. I think that's a good thing. I'm for tax cuts. The more money you can keep in your pocket when you go to work in Marysville or Richwood or West Liberty or,
Mm-hmm.
Plain City or wherever, if you can keep more money in your pocket, that's more money for you to put down on a house payment or whatever. That's just one example that seems to be a reoccurring theme. So the personal income tax, like I said, set to be phased down, reduced to 2.75%. That's good. I think that's a win for our community and communities across the state. So I was happy to see that. And we have some really good things coming out of the federal level. I'm not seeking to serve on the federal level, but we have some things that impact us here in Ohio, here in
Mm-hmm.
the 86th House District that matter. So, on the note of keeping more money here in town, the federal legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill that many people call it, that I do think it was a one big beautiful bill, made tax cuts from 2017 permanent. So those were set to expire. Thankfully, Congress got it together and they made those tax
Made
cuts.
something work. Yep.
They made those permanent. There's also no tax on tips anymore. There might be some, I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but if you're a server at Leon's Garage, I'm headed in there this afternoon to have a nice meal, and we'll try to, they get to keep that, or soon, whenever that gets phased in. No tax on tips and no tax on overtime. So I think those are a win. It's whether
Mm-hmm.
you're on, you pull a 70-hour week up at MAP, Marysville, the Marysville Auto Plant for Honda, or your, overtime at somewhere else. That money, more of that money stays with you. You worked hard for it here. I think you should keep it. So I was happy to see it. We can debate the merits of those, but
As a self-employed person, I think I'm gonna have to start counting all of my hours as overtime. Just kidding.
I'm sure there's we'll let some of this stuff play out. But
Yeah,
there's
sure it's
there's
over.
some great hardworking
Yeah.
men and women in the service industry that I think it was time where they got some relief. Like I said, we have property taxes that are skyrocketing. At least there's some relief on their income tax, keeping more of it in their pocket. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yep, I like it. So what's next for Ben Weber
So
outside of the
That's-
obvious goal?
yeah, so I'm running a campaign to be a conservative champion for our community. What we should have a conversation about is where the state and where Union County are headed. And you mentioned growth here in Union County on the state level. We also have growth as well.
Mm-hmm.
Politically, if we're allowed to, we can weigh into this. I'm running the election that I'm running in will occur next year. I'll be on the ballot in May of 2026 in the Republican primary to become the Republican nominee to run for state rep, and then afterwards in November. And so at that point, though, on the same ballot will be candidates for governor. And I think I know who I believe will be our next governor in the state of Ohio, who will have a tremendous impact on our state, the trajectory of the state, and our community. locally, and I think that's going to be Vivek Ramaswamy will
Hmm.
be our next governor. We can debate the merits of that, but he is somebody who is a bold, visionary leader with a bold campaign. How do we make Ohio as great as it can be? Which I listen to that message. I like that message. How can we make Union County as good as we can make Union County? And
Hmm.
Marysville, how can we make Marysville as good as possible? And I mean, he's young. He's got young kids. He believes in the future for his kids, for his family, and for his community, just like myself. Uh, that's a leader that I can get behind and have gotten behind already.
Yep, I would agree. Yeah, it seems like he's a little too much on the grow part of it, and I like the small town. I could do without the growth, but no, definitely would rather that than a lot of other options. Excuse me. So on the growth part, what's the first thing that comes to mind, or what's your general response to smart growth, controlled growth, in a rapidly developing? Well, I guess we've got two sides of it I should address. We've got the challenging to buy a home part, and we
Hmm.
want to grow part. And I've never really heard a good articulation of what is the middle. What is the we're going to grow, but we're going to do it right, and obviously
Hmm.
right, everybody has their own version of right. And again, that's where leadership to me comes in to say, I'm going to step back, listen, and evaluate the environment, understand, all things considered, what's correct. And,
Hmm.
so what comes to mind in that of, because there's policies and different things that we
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
for growth and, like
yeah,
the framework for growth.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and I'll go back to who I think will be our next governor, Vivek Ramaswamy. And I think he and I have a similar approach on this. Maybe I don't want to put words in his mouth, but we have private capital that wants to come to the state of Ohio.
mhm.
There are companies, individuals that see the great things that are happening in Ohio. They see Ohio's potential and that our best days are ahead of us, not behind us. And there's people that have that same approach to Union County. That this is, like I said, the best place to live, work, raise a family, and run a business is right here. Uh, so there's a lot of private capital approach. I'm not serving to run for city council. I don't have a seat on city council or a seat or a vote before our county commissioners, for example. I'll leave it to the city council, for example, to make the decisions of what they're hearing from their constituents. When voters in Marysville elect their next city council candidates, there's folks who are already campaigning for those seats. I hope they listen to them. I know that they probably will, because that's the vision that should be driven by the voters, should be driven by the constituents. So, um, like I said, we have private capital coming in. Yeah, I'm a free market conservative Republican. I don't think that there's a need for government, for example, to try to support one thing or the other. If private businesses want to come and invest in their companies, their organizations here, okay, let their businesses grow and thrive. Let's get government out of the way. Uh,
So here's a principled
yeah.
question for you. This as a real estate agent, as a resident of Marysville, community of Marysville. I think one of the an interesting way to look at growth and an answer that I'm trying to understand and seek. Um, so like National Association of Realtors, biggest lobbying group out there. They do a lot. Their goal is private property rights. So we on both sides of the fence, we have private property rights. Hey, free market.
Hmm.
I've got a piece of property. This giant company wants to come in and build it.
Hmm.
I should be allowed to go for it, right? Okay. If everybody did that, and so it's just an interesting question of, okay, at what point do you as my neighbor get to put a toxic waste facility onto your
Yeah.
property because it's your personal property rights.
You're getting into nuisance land, which is fun for
And I'm
like,
exaggerating the
no, yeah,
point,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
even just for me, nuisance is a bigger street that I got to deal with more cars. For me, that's nuisance. I don't want more traffic down my road or in my community.
Mhm.
And so I'm just saying the principled concept of
Here's what I would say to that. I I mentioned a conservative Republican. Local control is, in my opinion, the best way for communities to organize and run themselves is at the local level. Why do we want some higher federal bureaucrat, federal official, or even maybe a state official, unelected, to try to come in and say, here's how things should be, or here's where you should put this, or centrally plan something. Absolutely not. I think nine out of 10 voters, hopefully 10 out of 10 voters would say, nope, we'd rather have this decision made right here on city council, here in Marysville, or some other community equivalent,
Yep.
if it's a different community. So I would say to that question, have that decision be as local as possible. So in Marysville, you have wards for city council. So those city council members have an even more direct perspective of their ward compared to at-large city council members.
Yep.
That's kind of conceptually why we have wards versus
Well, and things are broken down
at-large
from
seats. Yeah, and so
my house all the way to the White House.
there we go.
And
Right,
there's a split
and
every point.
so to get those type of decisions made at the as most local level as possible would, in my opinion, produce the best result. Whether the state of Ohio can support that, if I am so blessed to serve as your next state rep and being a leader that's involved in the process, that's great. But I'd defer this to the local level.
I like it. All right, so the last thing I've got on my list, break it down for us that, you hear state rep.
Mm-hmm.
What does a state rep do? What can a state rep do? What because it's just leadership. But for most of us,
Absolutely. So I'll even back that up to say that, one of the things I have some great experience that I've been privileged to be a part of. One thing that I have not mentioned is for some time over the past couple of years, I served at the Ohio House as a staff member, but not as an elected official. I've never run for office before. I would consider myself a conservative outsider. I've never done that, but I've been down there. I've helped write some of the laws and bills that have gone through the legislature, helped draft amendments, and seen that process really from soup to nuts. What does the state legislature do? How can they benefit you and your family, your pocketbook, and your community? And so the state of Ohio, state government, let's just also talk about what they can do. They control, like I said, personal income tax. We have a personal income tax cut that's on the way. Hallelujah. I think that's great. They also are responsible for helping local governments be successful. So there's a strong relationship between our state government, our local governments as well. So your state rep, back to your question, is one of your two state legislators that represent you down at the State House. You have two. You have a state representative, state senator in the Ohio House of Representatives. There's 99 state representative seats. In the state Senate, 33. So it's a 1-to-3 ratio. So I'm running to be one of 99 state reps down at the State House. District that I'm running in is, I mentioned this, but all of Union County and a portion of Marion County, the city of Marion. Those are based on population is how those seats are determined. But it's a great district. In my opinion, the best district in the state, given the great things that we have, all the good stuff that we have in this community. You should trademark that if you haven't already. Can help with that. And so your state rep, what you should expect from your next state rep. I hope I earned the support of the community. I'd be blessed to serve there in our community, is to deliver tax cuts for families, unleash Ohio energy, for example, and really get our Ohio's economy. It's already pretty strong. We have a strong housing market. We've talked about that for a good while, but unleash Ohio energy, have Ohio's economy take off. Let's be the number one economy in the entire country. And I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't be. So support our police and fire, our institutions that protect our community, protect our Constitution. There are laws and bills that, I've been down there, some that sometimes are tried to pass that are not constitutional. That's, in my opinion, I'm a constitutional conservative. I am a lawyer. We have to protect our Constitution.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what we think, that's what's there, and that's, we have to abide by that. We're in a constitutional
gotta have rules and structure. Yeah,
we do, and really also give parents the rights and education to make great educational choices for their students. My kids, God willing, soon. I hope to have a large family with my soon-to-be wife Emily, and we're looking forward to having options for where to send our kids to school. What ideally, really, good options, not just one or two, but many, so
yep.
Your state rep is your leader. Deliver income tax cuts, unleash Ohio's economy by unleashing Ohio energy, defending our Constitution, and promoting educational options for your students and for your children here in the community. In a nutshell,
I
there's
like
more
it.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that you just kind of see from afar, and complicated but simple, and it's hard to really discern. And I think a lot of things. What does that person do? Most people wouldn't be able to give a short, clear answer.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
And here's one thing too that I'll add, that when voters go to the election, they go to the polls and they vote for their next state rep. One thing that I am running on too, I mentioned I'm a conservative outsider. One of the problems, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems in government today is you have elected officials, bureaucrats that are entrenched in their respective, policy priorities. They've been there for so many years, and they've been working on the same things for so much time, and they're just part of the problem. But nothing gets done. So I've never run for office before, which I think is a good thing. It's a fresh perspective. Come in, be a conservative leader, be a servant leader for our community, serve my term, and step out. And that's my perspective. Others may disagree with that, but I am running as a conservative outsider. Come in, do the work, do a great job, and then move on.
Yeah, well, sounds good to me. Anything else you'd like to share?
It's great to be on. We have a great community here in Marysville and Union County. Obviously, we have a lot of good stuff here in the community.
As is the name.
And I would love to earn your support, the support of your listeners. I'll be out in the community campaigning for several more months, which is a privilege and a blessing to meet so many of our friends and neighbors, both Emily and I. And there's no shortage of good stuff here in the 86th House District in Marysville.
Well said.
It's great.
Well, thank you, sir. And thanks for those that have stuck around this long. Hopefully you found some values, some good information, and learned something and some good stuff about what's going on here locally. So if you'd like to join me on the podcast, love to have you. Talk about and promote the good stuff you've got going on. And if there's anything we can do for you, myself and all my guests, I think, are willing to do so to continue the good stuff going on here in the community. So
Absolutely.
Wish you luck.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us. Or me, I guess. I don't know who us is, but thanks for your time. Till next time, take care.
See you.